head to the beach or have a long weekend break. The incentive will apply until February the 28th. And that's the news. Everyone has a life story.
Stories that have moved me to tears by the courage and the determination, the creativity of people around the country.
Where we fit in.
We work in a really noisy environment. Our headphones are on. It's really intense. So when I'm not here, I like to get out into the bush, listen to the bird calls.
The work we do.
Easily the best thing about my job, well, it's the listeners.
Real people.
Hot August Night by Neil Diamond. And as soon as I'd saved up my pocket money, number 2 was Goodbye Yellow Brick Road by Elton John, and I still love them both.
Lynn Freeman, standing room only, returning Sunday on RNZ National. Short forecast now before we're back with Jesse. Through to midnight tomorrow, Tuesday. For Northland, fine apart from isolated showers inland during the afternoon. Auckland to Wellington, including Coromandel, Bay of Plenty and the Central High Country. Mainly
I'm just waiting. You're waiting? Yeah, sorry. Waiting on you, sir. Sweet, thank you. We're recording. Everyone happy? Sweet.
Okay, firstly I'd just like to thank last night all those people who evacuated at the sound of the sirens, and it's really important for New Zealand that that people understand those areas where we have sirens and they're used for evacuation, that people evacuate. And I think there was a number of people who did the right thing, and we're working really hard and taking it really seriously, the fact of getting this right for New Zealand.
So can you just tell us what triggered the alarms to sound last night? Are they triggered manually or is it an automatic system?
Yeah, so what we have is last night, what we've uncovered today is this is a result of one of our legacy systems, and we're trying to get down into the detail of exactly, technically, what happened that allowed those to activate. So what we've put in place is some patches. It's not a long-term fix for us, but it's patches to ensure that it's not going to happen again tonight. While all the organisations, and so we've worked really closely with Bay of Plenty Civil Defence Management Group in this case, and also with Spark and all the other providers to make sure we can understand what's caused them and actually stop this happening again.
And how many sirens went off? Were they all linked?
Yeah, well, I guess it's important to note that not all the sirens were ours. Okay, so there was a number of sirens that sat amongst the ones that went off, and that's, like I say, from a number of different organisations, because it's part of a system. It's part of a system to activate the public, and that's why we're working with all those other agencies to understand, what's fundamentally sits behind this problem, and what do we need to do to ensure that we've got a long-term fix and it won't happen again.
Which other organisations do those alarms belong to? I know Bay of Plenty Civil Defence have said that none of them would be.
So what we've uncovered today is, the system as such. Some of them sat within some of the surf lifesaving clubs. Some of them sat within Fire and Emergency New Zealand. My understanding was the racetrack at Bay Park had a siren there, and there's some of the ones that sat on fire stations weren't necessarily ours, but the things. So it's a complex arrangement of sirens that set up a system. But it is that particular one was a legacy system, like I say, that is retired, and it's not actually the active system in place.
How many of the sirens were, fire station sirens out of those?
So of those stations last night that operated, 9 of those were fire stations, and 3 were not.
And so people have described saying they were scared and panicked by the sound. What would you say to those people?
Well, like I said, I think, I'd like to thank those people because they took it seriously. They listened to the messaging coming through from the civil defence and the other emergency organisations, and why they were scared and panicked is because they genuinely thought there was an emergency they needed to evacuate from. I would far rather that people evacuate, and we need to get it right, but I would far rather that people evacuate than people don't take it seriously, and suddenly we have a different sort of situation that we're talking to the media about.
Can you explain, if the system is retired, why did it go off?
So the system was retired because it was a system that's been in place since probably around 2006. Okay, and as as different groups have amalgamated and different organisations have come together, the system sat there, but people had, to a certain degree, forgotten the system was activated. So when it was activated, and it wasn't activated through Fire Emergency New Zealand, it was activated through other means, and that's what we have to work out is how has it been activated so that can't happen again. Well, it went and people obviously evacuated thinking it was a tsunami as such.
Is there concern that in the future people might ignore these sirens and thinking it's a false alarm? Do you think there's concern for that?
Well, that is always a worry for all of us in the emergency sector. And what I wanted to say to people is, have the confidence that we'll get our systems right here. And if there is a siren, I want you to evacuate. I certainly want you to evacuate so that you know that you're safe. And safety comes first before anything.
So what would Fire and Emergency then say to people to regain their trust when it comes to a situation like this?
I think people need to understand that we're taking this very seriously, and we're working to find out what's the technical fix. It's I can say to you all sorts of things, but unless we actually know the detail that sits behind, what set this off technically, well then we're not going to be able to put a long-term fix in place. So we've put a patch in place today, so that this can't happen today, but we need to understand the detail so that we can work through that with all our partner organisations to make sure we've got a system that works.
So you're thinking it's most likely technical error rather than a human error that's happened here, and obviously there was maybe some concern that this could have happened again repeatedly for the next few nights if you had to put something in place?
Well, what we're looking at the moment is that there was probably some technical parts to it that I don't yet understand that's caused this to activate, and that's what I want to get on top of and make sure that we've got that removed so that it can't happen again.
Potentially human error as well.
Human error?
Yeah.
Well, as part of a system, you need humans to actually initiate the system. And so we're always going to need humans to initiate a system, especially an emergency management system as such. And what we need is the safeguards and securities behind that to ensure that we can take out any chance of human error as much as possible.
Is there anywhere else in the country with this particular system?
Well, we've been tracking that down today because we don't want to just put a patch and a fix over this one area and then another area goes tonight somewhere else. So what we've been doing today is tracking down exactly where these legacy systems lie across the country and make sure it's safe in all those areas as well.
And can I just ask, when was it retired?
When was it retired?
Yeah, when was the system retired?
Well, the system wasn't retired as such. It was a legacy system that was lost in the space, I guess. Yeah.
So we've spoken to some experts who say that the siren systems aren't easy to hack. Are there security measures, or I guess what security measures are in place to stop this from happening?
At this stage, we don't believe that the system has been hacked, and like I say, we believe that there's systemic problems in there that we're trying to understand what they are from a technical nature, but we don't believe that the system was hacked.
Last couple of questions.
Are you concerned now, it's sort of been asked, but you said in the release earlier today that these alerts are actually lifesavers, these are a crucial part of evacuation plans. Are you concerned with the amount of people who have now been told, whoops, this was a false alarm, that they're not going to listen to these kind of alerts if this doesn't happen?
No, I actually believe that the public of New Zealand is taking safety really seriously. And some of the natural events that are happening across New Zealand at the moment, what we're seeing in Australia with the wildfires, people are really mindful that, the emergency services as a sector are actually really taking seriously what's approaching us as a country in regard to change of emergencies. And I think that people will understand that at times things do go wrong, and the important thing is that the services aren't just hiding in a corner, they're actually taking the actions to get it right. And you would have heard our Chief Executive this morning, apologising to people for the inconvenience that it caused out there. And we're very much taking it seriously. We have an obligation to ensure that alongside our partners that we can get it right.
How are you working with civil defence? Because obviously Civil Defence are a huge part of this response as well. How are you both agencies working together?
Well, that's just talking, and it's talking and working out, what's gone in place, what agreements have been in place in the past, and, what's the right way to move forward between, what we need to do, which is advise the public when there's an emergency.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And so it can make a pretty good imitation of pretending to be interviewed like a human being, So take the answers with a pinch of salt, but take the fact that it can sound plausibly human as something that we have to be wary of, both be impressed by the power of this computing, what it can do, but also slightly alarmed that it could fool people if you're not careful.